This is the Get Vocal podcast.
So, welcome back to the Get Vocal podcast.
Special episode ahead of Remembrance Sunday.
Two very special guests, Dave and Andy, who are going to talk about their journey, mental health, and all the things involved. So, without further ado, Andy, introduce yourself to everybody who don't know who you are.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Andy Powell, the Managing Director of Healthy Heroes.
Yeah, I'm Dave Maclean, Community Engagement Manager at Blackpool FC Community Trust.
So, let's delve into your stories individually. So, Andy, we'll start with you. A little bit of background, where your journey with mental health started and where we're up to now.
Sure, so, well, it all started for me, obviously, when I was a young lad, really. Grew up with a separated family. My dad was in the military back then, so then mum and dad split up, moved back to the UK, grew up in Burnley, didn't have the greatest sort of life as a young lad, which then sort of kind of led me to being homeless at the age of 14, which then obviously then pushed me to move into the military world. Really, really good, successful career. Absolutely loved it. 16 years in the military, left in 2013. And that's kind of where my mental health journey for myself started, although I had elements of issues, adverse childhood experiences when I was a lot younger. It kind of stemmed back from me coming back from Afghanistan, finding out that my marriage at the time had sort of like gone a different way than what I wanted, which then resulted in me obviously losing my family. Drink and drugs started sort of kicking in at that time as well. I had a number of attempts on my own life, and there was one point where I could have ended up in prison as well, because my mental health spiraled out of control with the addiction side of it. So
right, okay.
That's where it sort of began for me, really.
Dave, where's your journey started? How have you got involved with the veterans? How have you got where you are today?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm the Community Engagement Manager. I oversee several different programmes, from older adults to a disability programme. One of the areas that I kind of manage is our Veterans Programme, our ex-armed forces programme. For Blackpool FC Community Trust, have been delivering veteran-specific programmes since 2018. And as I said, from the start, it was quite a small programme, just delivering a kind of coffee morning. It really has developed now. So today we run a full-time programme with a lot of different specific sessions that we run for veterans specifically as well.
Fantastic. So I kind of did a bit of background research on a pair of you. So you're like during COVID and stuff, the veterans programme that the Community Trust ran kind of became a really big thing, didn't it? If I remember rightly.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I mean, obviously,
looking at me like vaguely, I'm thinking.
No.
Yeah.
I was just wondering where you were going, but it was. I think the Community Trust did an excellent job during the kind of pandemic. They were frontline staff, and that was something that Ash, who is the CEO of Blackpool FC Community Trust, he really wanted to kind of take a lead on. So from our sessions, our coffee mornings, what we really had to do, was take that online, and we ran various different sessions, really about social engaging, about bringing people together, and we were running quizzes online, we were doing, walk and talks, and having, staff members kind of go into certain areas. We had parcels that we're delivering, and let's say because we'd been working with a number of veterans, we knew the need that was there, and looked to kind of support them throughout that time. We were giving welfare calls out to our older adults, but again, our veterans, just to have that check-in and make sure, that the people that we were kind of working with, they had the support that was kind of needed. And again, having, really good links with other charitable organisations. If we found that someone was in need, we were able to lead them into that level of support.
Fantastic, which brings us on really well to where you're at now. So like the support, you've got Healthy Heroes. So if people don't know, let's give a brief introduction and explanation what Healthy Heroes is, where it came about, how it's helped you, how it's helped so many other people as well.
Yeah, no, of course. So, I mean, it came about through running a previous project. So I had an educational program that was, or program of business that was teaching children in school who were disengaged in education, much like I was when I was a young child, trying to teach them that education was important, really. So building on leadership, team building, emotions and feelings and well-being, and kind of that whole plethora, which led me to be delivering something across Greater Manchester. And Healthy Heroes was born out of being brought into delivering a project for a local authority, and that just grew and grew and grew to where we are now, over in Burnley, at Bancroft House. So that opened in December 2020. So we talk about sort of like mid-pandemic and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly, you're mid-pandemic too.
Yeah, and the pandemic didn't create the success of Healthy Heroes or Bancroft House, but what it created was an opportunity whereby, during the pandemic, we could get people off the streets. We could provide that immediate crisis intervention, support the housing, and it's worked really, really well. And we are where we are today. And I can't remember what the figures were today, but I think it's about 180 something veterans that we've supported since December 2020.
Wow.
Have been through our doors, got, a variety of support needs and requirements and this and that and other from us. And they're back out living in the community. So December 2020 opened. Within 3 weeks, we're completely full. Vast array of veterans, both male and female, have been in our accommodation as well, and transgender. So we've had a transgender female in there as well. So obviously, gender is no means for discrimination. So we open the door, we provide them with an accommodation. I suppose the best way to describe it, without it making it sound like an hotel, it's like a Premier Inn room. So you're kind of walking through your door, you've got your big ensuite, large area for a double bed and built-in wardrobes and all that. And it provides them with that key to the front door as well. So they have a key to their own door.
Okay.
So it's not shared accommodation. So they have their own room. It's a safe space and a safe environment for them. And you've got 21 guys who live within Bancroft House, or girls when we had them. And whilst being within Bancroft, we have sort of building staff 24/7 as well. So there's a huge staff team. I think we've got about 18 staff there now and a number of volunteers.
Wow.
So nobody goes without. There is always somebody on hand. There's always support workers attached to a number of people. And we support them with a mental health, full wraparound support package. So we've got counsellors in there. We've got a psychotherapist in there. We give them a full health and wellbeing wraparound support package,
wow. Okay.
Education, employment, training opportunities, volunteering within the community. It's kind of based around the 12 steps recovery program from a rehab, as well as the 5 ways of wellbeing. So we kind of mix all of that in, and it's a very varied program. And it's structured. I think that's the biggest thing for us as well, is all the ex-military guys, and you'll have seen this with the people that you have, they want structure, they want routine, they want a bit of direction, a bit of focus, a reason why. So we create that program Monday to Friday and sometimes a weekend. So they get up in the morning, 9 o'clock, we have a check-in meeting downstairs where everyone's got to be there, find out how they are, how they're feeling, what's going on, what's their expectations. And then from 10 o'clock then right through till 5 is just a different array of workshops through mental health, through well-being, through counselling, through education, through training, through whatever it is. It's very much co-designed. So I don't ever want to be in order the staff, the person that says to somebody, look, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing the other. There are elements of things we've got to do with that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We understand that that's not necessarily their cup of tea, but we know that it's going to benefit them. So it's co-designed in the respect that they have a resident voice, if you will. So they have very much a big input in their own recovery journey as well, and what it is that they feel they need to be where they are. And and so that just kind of goes on and on and on until the time's right for somebody to leave Bancroft.
So, I mean, this is like a joint question to the pair of you now. So have you kind of seen a lot more acceptance for veterans of all age kind of speaking about their journeys with mental health now and how they've suffered over the years, or do you still think there's kind of like there's kind of still a bit of a selection of them in society, kind of like still got this hard face, I'm going to war kind of mentality, I'm fine, nothing will crack me? Or are you starting to see people open up a lot more? Whoever wants to go first?
Yeah, I think from my own standpoint, I think we work with veterans at a low kind of level of mental health. So those that kind of are working within kind of civilian life, but at the same time dealing with levels of mental health that they might not actually seek support and advice kind of from. And I think the kind of the work that we do is working with people and starting to understand people. It's about bringing in different organisations around mental health. So we have a community mental health team that come along to our sessions. We have Healthier Minds come along, and these are all just different organisations that come in and talk around positive mental health. And I think from that, people start to resonate with things that they might be hearing, and then start to kind of speak to staff around things that they're obviously dealing with within their own lives.
Absolutely.
And it's from that we start to find out what levels of support this person needs. So they might not actually come to us with a mental health related condition or feeling that way, but actually through engaging with our staff, they start to
it kind of highlights where they need
highlights where they
the channels they need to go down. Right, okay.
As well, and that's probably from kind of my standpoint.
Whereas I'm the other end of the scale, so I deal with the medium to high risk and more high risk individuals. So people who have been sectioned, coming out of mental health hospitals and coming to us. So in terms of the harsh standpoint, and no one's going to crack my shell. That's very much who we do deal with. So it's kind of the onion method, if you will. We've got to literally peel that onion right back to the core. And that core then tends to be the adverse childhood experiences. We were just talking briefly about it before. It's not necessarily the military trauma. It's that's affected. It's the adverse childhood experiences compacted with that. So I think the hard shell is very hard to crack. Sometimes it really is. There's so many barriers because a lot of the people that we work with have been entrenched in homelessness. They've been entrenched in addiction, be that drink or drugs. They've been through the cycle of the mental health with community mental health teams or numerous sections. It was only a few weeks ago that I went to take a veteran off a bridge in Burnley and ended up in Blackburn Hospital with him, and that was him. He was just done. He were at peace with life, and and to be fair, he actually did jump, and it was the civilians on the bridge that managed to catch him as he was falling, drag him over the fence, and he's now sectioned in a mental health hospital. But we're going to pick him up when he comes back out. So. It's difficult, really, really difficult, but I think the measures that we have in place in Bancroft House helps to facilitate, to keep that as quiet, as calm and as safe as possible with the counsellors, the psychotherapists and the staff who are also trained in mental health. But I think, we are a one-stop shop in the sense that we have everything under one roof, but by no means are we the experts. So, you talk about the community mental health team, we work with a community mental health team here in Blackpool, in Burnley, in Preston, Lancashire and South Cumbria Foundation Trust. So, there are times where we've got to bring the professionals in and provide the extra layer of care.
Of course, absolutely,
in professional capacity.
Wow. The more you kind of get into it, you realise that it's harder sometimes for people to speak because at the same time, like I said before, when people are in the army or in like a military setting, they are set to this one mind frame of this is my job, I've got to do this. Does it allow for vulnerability or, sorry, shouldn't use vulnerability, but in people's eyes it is vulnerability. Does it allow for that to come through at the time, or is it much of I'm out of the army now, I can kind of visit what has started my journey with mental health, or is there sections in the army now where well-being is kind of taken on board, or
so now
that's good, right?
Yeah, now there is very much so. I think what they're doing is identifying the work that Blackpool Football Club are doing, that we're doing, and others are doing. That there is an issue. There's something going wrong. So yes, now there's a lot more workshops, a lot more education around mental health. Education not just around mental health, but behaviours and attitudes that are associated with that, which lead up to an existing sort of like crisis condition or whatever it might be. But years ago there wasn't, it was very much, you've got a job, get your head down and go and do it. And it's the whole adage of, like, don't cry, men are weak, you're weak if you cry, all that sort of stuff. So, it was get on with it back then, whereas now it's not.
No, so it's moving with the times, and and I think obviously we all kind of in this room, and that stigma of men don't cry it's such a damaging phrase, and we're kind of seeing less and less about that now online. But so going back to the work the community trust do, are you seeing like a real success in obviously the football program on the Thursday and all the extra outside the community stuff? Have you seen a rise of that since post-COVID kind of thing, where people are out more, or is it kind of just growing naturally?
Yeah, no, it is growing naturally through word of mouth. I think the online stuff was great, but I think people like to meet people. People love that engagement and being with people. Obviously, there was the kind of level around digital deficit where we found it very difficult to bring older, veterans into that kind of area. And we did a program called Vets on Steps, where we actually visited veterans' homes, just to meet them, get that face-to-face contact, obviously in a very safe kind of environment following government guidelines. But as soon as, we were able to kind of, get together, come back together.
Shake hands again.
Yeah, shake hands again.
None of the elbow stuff.
Face-to-face, be
just a bit of a wink and then an elbow shake. Yeah.
Big man hug.
Yeah. Being in indoor spaces, that's where we really found a large drive of people wanting to re-engage with the community, re-engage with their, with their peers, and again, build that kind of camaraderie that's very difficult over a screen.
I think that's the thing as well, especially with where the nature of it, you are in large teams. You are in kind of big groups that you're with for 10, 12, 13, 14 years, and if not more. To go and like try and socialise on a screen, even for me during COVID, and I can imagine everybody else, like you look at somebody on a screen and you're kind of going, yeah, they're there, but you're not getting that physical interaction, or you're not getting that, we just have a off the cuff comment, but because you got like internet connections, you're like, what did you say again? It's not funny now. You can't say it a second time. Yeah. But so going back to Bancroft House, yeah. Mm-hmm. Is it something you always wanted to do? Is it something that's stemmed since you've obviously left the army, that we talked before about how you struggled after you came out of the army? Is it something that you once just like twigged, I want to help more people, or is it something you've always wanted to?
No, it's not something I always wanted to do. It's nothing I ever thought about doing. So obviously I left the military. I went and done some CP work overseas in the Middle East, came back to the UK, then had various other roles. I've kind of always had like a bit of an entrepreneurial head, if you will. And I think that was, some people say I've got ADHD and all sorts of stuff, but I can never sit still. I need to be always doing something. And if something's not working, then I have to have 3 or 4 things on the go. So, So I had a business in Manchester. I had the education business, and then that led to this. So I never really knew who I was. Right. Never understood where I were in society, what I wanted out myself, or where I fit in society. And then obviously this kind of work came along, and this is absolutely where I belong now, 100%.
Do you think that's what started like the mental health journey with you? That like loss of image, loss of knowing who you were, and obviously when you're in the army, it's kind of, I am this person, only this person. When you come out of the army, it's kind of like, I've been in the army for 16 years in the army?
Yeah.
Been in the army for 16 years. Now I'm just Andy again.
But it's the structure and the routine.
Yeah.
So when to go, where to go, what to wear, what to do this. And then when you get out, that's just
freedom.
Just not there. It is. It's freedom. It is. But then with that freedom comes, what do I do next?
Yeah. So I just go to the shop for a bottle of milk, do I?
Yeah, exactly. And then it's,
I have to wear my own clothes. I've not bought clothes for years.
Well, exactly that. And obviously a lot of people leave the military. It's like, not everyone leaves with mental health conditions, and a lot of people do succeed when they leave the military, and it depends on your sort of like career transitional partnerships, your workshops, and the stuff that you do to leave. But even then, it's like, what do I want to do? I want to be a joiner. So I'll go away and do this course, and then you get out, and then you actually find, being a joiner is boring. You know what I mean? You don't like the people you're working with, or you don't like the environments, and actually I don't like working outdoors all the time, or whatever. So then there becomes like a constant crossover then of finding the right employment opportunities.
Absolutely, yeah. So have you, obviously going back to, have you always kind of been a man of the people? Have you always kind of engaged with, I know it sounds really cliche, doesn't it, with the job title, but have you always kind of been the person to link in your group of friends Have you always been, I'm the one that sort out the night out kind of, we have to always touch base, we've always got to speak, or have you kind of just something that you've come out of your shell in with the role?
I think I wear kind of many hats, really. So generally, kind of when I was younger, it was that kind of, getting everyone out, getting people kind of together. I kind of lived in America for 8 years, and that was something, that I really enjoyed. I think being out there and being with other people that are involved in football, other people that were, from the same country I was from, really brought that group, knit together. I think just generally within my work, working in sport and working with people is something I absolutely love. I love engaging, with people, and I'm more kind of outcomes, basis. Is something, I really, thrive on, something I work and just even being able to support that one person, makes a real difference. And knowing that, we're supporting many people, working with around 100 veterans, really is something that, is great.
100%. I think that's something that we're going back to the first episode with Nathan Parker. We were talking about that. Like, it's that first person. If you help one person, in my eyes, and obviously you're nodding, you're going, if you help one person, for me, that's job done. Anything else after that is an incredible bonus. Like when we first, so Cal's not here today, but we started our podcast back in January 21. Pretty much the same as like the COVID thing. So like we would go for a walk and talk, and we'd have a same routine every Saturday. We'd go from Fairhaven to Lytham, get a coffee, walk back. Every week we'd go, should we start a podcast? And every week it'd be like, nah, no one's going to listen. No one's going to listen. And then January 21, we were like, we're definitely going to record this podcast. Then we had another lockdown. So we're like, right, okay. January 22, first episode comes out, flurry of messages on Instagram going, thanks lads, that's really helped us. And it's just that first one, and everyone after that is just like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah,
and it's
the snowball effect.
It is, and it's
a perfect example of that is, so we had a guy came to Bancroft House yesterday, and it was all about singing bowls and breath work and mindfulness, meditation, that sort of stuff. And there's a few lads who were absolutely not a chance. We ain't doing this. We talk about cracking that shell. This ain't for me. I'm not spiritual. I don't want to do God and all this, that, and the other. But actually, today, everyone that took part in that session yesterday experienced things that they'd never experienced before and can't really explain it. So they're at their beginning of their journey of the awakening, becoming that, not necessarily spiritual, but opening the minds, you know what I mean? We talk about the chakras and the third eye and all that, opening that third eye to experience and understand something completely different that you were otherwise closed off to. And these guys now today were like, really? Was it like that? They're like, yeah, get me on that next week. I'm going to have a do with it. So the snowball effect of seeing the difference it's making in others then encourages somebody else to go, well, actually, let's have a do it.
I must admit, the spirituality side of life, I've never been interested in until we record. Sorry, you can't see James on the other side of the camera. We recorded a podcast with somebody in Manchester, and her podcast was around singing bowls and like pulling out words and what did it mean to you. And like you go away and you go, do you know what? A lot of life is based on spirituality and you have no idea. And then you sit at home and you go, maybe that horoscope you read was right after all. And you read it and you go, yeah, that's my day today. Christ, what's going to happen tomorrow? But it's just, I think that's it. I mean, what are the main kind of features? So you can talk about spirituality. What other kind of lessons, I shouldn't say lessons, but what other workshops do you do at the house?
Well, quite a lot, to be honest. Obviously, the spiritual side of it is quite a big thing, but not in the sense that we're trying to, push spirituality onto anybody, but it's the mindfulness, the meditation, being present in the moment, breath work, cold water therapy. Sort of anger management stuff, psychology, so like understanding how your brain works and how your brain reacts, and talk about how the flight and flight mode works in different scenarios and whatnot. But other things like the basic life skills for us is also one of the most important aspects, because fundamentally, we mentioned before, people are entrenched in homelessness and addiction and this and that and the other, and some of them can't even cook. They don't know how to manage the money correctly. And, and let's be honest, some people are on quite a lot of benefits, and a lot of it's residual income. So it's just like burns one hole in one pocket and goes out the other. It's knowing what to do with it, but in a constructive way that's going to benefit them. So basic life skills for us is a massive thing as well.
Do you think there's So obviously I hold my hands up. I don't really know much about going in, coming out of the army. Is there a back to society kind of package? I know it sounds, but like when people go and work like for BAE and stuff, and they've like repatriated kind of thing.
No, there's not. To answer your question,
right.
No.
We don't want to say too much then, right? Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's a no. We'll take it.
Right. Okay. Needs to be. I think there does. There's families will have an element of understanding about bills and council tax and this and that and the other. But young lads who are leaving, they've had to pay nothing throughout the whole time they've been in the army. So to get out and then go find a job and then have to pay council tax and this and that and the other, they don't know how to do it. They know it's got to be done, but don't know how to do it.
Right.
So yes, there should be an educational side of junior soldiers, young soldiers, or whatever leaving.
Right.
This is what you need.
So there you go. There's an avenue there. Extend your arm.
Oh, watch this space.
There's an exclusive coming next year. So going back to sessions, so we're on the Get Vocal podcast. You obviously work for the Community Trust. Have you with the Get Vocal kind of, I'm trying to get the words out here, get my teeth in. Do you have like a Get Vocal session at Bancroft House? So you all sit in a room, it's non-judgmental space. Do you think the rise of like these groups, are you seeing a massive change in society from these groups?
Yes. So we have a check-in group in the morning.
Right.
9:00 every morning, everybody's downstairs in a room which is safe environment for them. That is their check-in, get vocal, talk about what they need to do, how they're feeling, what their expectations are. If they've got any issues or dramas, then we talk about it collectively, non-judgmental, as you say. But then that also allows and forges us an opportunity as staff to then sort of target specific areas with people. In terms of supporting them in the best way possible. We've known some of these guys for quite a long time, but, they still struggle to open up for various aspects, which is why we've brought in a new guy, like a guy called Liam Hammett. He's now our education training coordinator, wellbeing coordinator.
Right, okay.
So they've really gelled massively with him. So, it's great. But then, externally to that, a large part of their recovery is about attending NA groups and AA groups and being out within the communities, experiencing something that's completely different that they would otherwise maybe identify as being alien to them. Or
right, okay.
That's not for me, but actually it is. It is. Absolutely,
yeah.
It is, yeah.
So I'm guessing, obviously, there's no better feeling. This is a question to both of you. The pride you get when you see people turn up to your sessions and you turn up, and when they leave the house, the pride must be unrivaled, surely.
Go on, I'll let you go.
Yeah, no, it is an amazing sort of feeling. I think that you feel that you are actually, supporting people, helping them out with their kind of mental health, with their well-being, and putting them hopefully on a positive pathway. Working with so many different people, so many different ages. Every day is completely different, but at the same time, every single member of staff is there to support the veteran. They're there to support, the individuals that come to our sessions. We've had many that we've been able to signpost into different provision that's kind of met their needs. We've got a great peer support group called Get Vocal, and we've been able to signpost a number of our veterans, actually to them sessions, and speaking to the staff that are on them, to hear that they're still attending these really does fill you with that kind of pride that you've been part of that journey to help support that person. Like you say, it's an amazing sort of program, and one that it took a while to break down them barriers for them to be able to disclose that kind of information to us. And again, the kind of people that I'm thinking about, didn't really know if it was for them, and knew that there was a little bit of a sport involved, a little bit of table tennis to kind of break the ice. But because I'm guessing they were veterans, they wanted that kind of structure. They wanted to kind of, sit around and discuss them sort of things. So, being able to break them down, them barriers, bring staff that are from them sessions into our veteran specific work, help that person speak about, the things that they'd kind of been dealing with, the support that they needed. And once they kind of saw that kind of face, it really helped the people come to them sessions, and, to hear that they're still going now and enjoying it, and, be part of that journey is fantastic.
It's about connecting with people though as well, isn't it? Do you know, and if you connect with people, the right people, you know, you're going to end up with the right results at the end.
100%.
At the end of the day, you know, where that day might take 6 months, 12 months, or whatever it is, but you know, we've had many successes, you know, and I think that's detriment to our staff, really, not me or Rio, because the organisation is owned by me and my wife. Many successes from people being in our building for a month or two. You know, they've had to escape the family. They've had that family relationship breakdown, a couple of nights on the streets, and we've been able to do what we've been able to do to engage back with the families, have them positive relationships within the marriage and the children. You know, right the way through to, you know, it's quite apt that we're here now, really. So like one of our biggest success stories is a gentleman that we took out of Blackpool, entrenched in homelessness, drugs. He had a really chaotic life. Resulted in being sectioned in a mental health hospital. The day he was released was the 9th of December, which is the first day our doors opened in December 2020. He was the first resident to come to the building, and on his way there, my wife said to him, said, "What do you want out of being here?" And he was like, "I really want a pet. I've heard they're good for your well-being." And so she went, "All right, well, what do you want?" Because it'd become a pet-friendly residency building as well. He says, "I want an hedgehog." She went, "What? What an hedgehog?" So she's like, "Right, okay." So she ended up going to the pet shop and bought an albino hedgehog.
Honestly, didn't know you could buy hedgehogs. No. But now, I'm hoping one's open when we finish, because I'm going to go home with an albino hedgehog and go, just spoke to a man, he said you can get albino hedgehog for a pet.
It's crazy.
Here's a hedgehog.
But the relationship he had with this hedgehog as well, I mean, there's not much you can do with an hedgehog, but like, it was almost
stroked it for the first.
But it was like a marriage with him as well. Like at night time, you'd be like, "Well, you shut up running around that cage," and like he picked the cage up and throw it in bathroom, closed door, and like that's, you know, obviously effing and jeffing and whatever. But like it was just a phenomenal journey for this guy to like.
Was the hedgehog quite a spiky character?
Absolutely, yeah. Quickly as anything.
Nice.
But it came right through the journey. And in terms of like success, you know, like I managed to be able to support him.
Yeah.
Set up a business.
Wow.
So he's now left Bancroft, not completely recovered with his mental health, but his addiction completely recovered. He's in sobriety and everything. And he's got a girlfriend. They live in a property together. She's got a child. He's making connections back with his ex-partner, which is then allowing him to see his son that he's not seen for years and years and years. And he now owns a sweet shop selling sweets, which is absolutely doing so well. It's unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? So it's...
Whereabouts?
In Burnley Town Centre. He's got a big shop in Burnley Town Centre.
The best people own sweet shops.
Well, you know what? He comes round with a few bags of fudge and this and that, and every now and again. Yeah. So it has its perks.
Yeah.
But, you know, I suppose talking about him just demonstrates, though, that if you're willing to accept the help and accept that the journey is going to be hard, you can be whoever you want to be.
I've got a really big question. Where's the hedgehog?
Still with him.
Fantastic.
It's in his kitchen.
It's a happy ending after all. It's a happy ending. My heart rate's going through the roof. My watch is telling me, like, ask a question. But no, I mean, so we're kind of going to, what's next for the pair? What's next for the Trust with the Veterans Programme? What's next with yourselves? Who wants to go first?
I think for us, you know, having the support of the Armed Forces Covenant Trust and the Veterans Foundation really helps us sustain the work that we're doing. You know, part of our biggest thing is ensuring that this provision doesn't go away. So been there since 2018, we've been able to sustain these programs. You know, so funding and support, you know, from these these charities, these organisations, these funders, you know, allows us to carry on. Because what the biggest thing we don't want to do is that kind of cliff edge happen, and you know, us being able to stop supporting these sort of people. So you know, it's around sustainability of our provision, and it's around kind of developing, you know, new programs. Working with new kind of charities and organisations to make sure that the needs that we come across, we're constantly, you know, on top of as new things kind of happen. You know, we're working with kind of Age UK around scams, you know, and things like that. We're hearing, you know, that Blackpool, you know, there's certain scams that are kind of coming on it, and we want to safeguard our, you know, our participants. Right, okay. So developing them kind of partnerships. We're looking into a new Armed Forces Northwest League. that we're looking to enter a team in. I think it's going to be the first one kind of in England. So the Lancashire FA and Manchester FA working collaboratively together to bring community trusts that have veteran specific programs. So you've got local clubs like AFC Fylde, Fleetwood, Burnley as well, of course. Burnley have a great program.
You are a brave man, but no one is going to argue with an ex-army man, are they? So
they're away Norway, aren't they? Playing Norwegian veterans,
Oh, they are. Yeah, it looks amazing. But like you say, it's bringing all them ex-armed forces together and using the tool of sport to engage people. And obviously put them in a positive, environment around, playing football again.
What have you got planned for Armed Forces Week? What have you got planned leading up to Remembrance Sunday?
The Remembrance Sunday. So we're obviously hoping to do a stadium tour. So one of the things is Blackpool FC Community Trust and Blackpool Football Club have a large extensive history, with the armed forces. I think during World War II, the stadium was used as a base for the RAF.
Didn't know
a lot
that.
of the kind of players that actually came. To Blackpool were actually, through the kind of military, and I know they kind of did exercises and training in the sort of area. So yeah, really kind of large sort of history around that.
Fantastic.
So we're hoping that that stadium tour, and I say bringing people through that might not know these sort of things that are kind of brilliant. Hoping that that will bring players and staff from the first team together, just to make it, an enjoyable experience, break down them kind of barriers around, players and that and kind of give it a bit of insight, to kind of their lives.
So what's next?
What's next?
Can you say? Actually, no, we've already had one exclusive, haven't we? Yeah.
So, I mean, look, we just carry on doing what we're doing. Yeah. We've been really fortunate recently in the last sort of month to win a large grant through the Fortitude funding, which is about ending homelessness in veterans. Look, essentially, let's be honest, I should not exist, in terms of the housing side of it. You know what I mean? So we keep doing what we're doing, try and get the veterans off the streets, supporting those who leave the criminal justice system as well. So, I work in 5 prisons across the northwest as well.
Right. Okay.
So that's a big piece in itself. So supporting the Ending Homelessness project, developing our programs as we go along, just sort of moving with the times, as you mentioned in that before. There is stuff in the pipeline to expand. So we are, we've already got the church. So there's a place in Oswestry. So that's a huge military heritage within Oswestry.
Wow.
So that'll open probably in the next 2 years, and then we're looking to open up another project in Preston sometime this year as well, which is exciting. So we just keep evolving and trying to meet demand, really, because the demand's it's through the roof. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, which is a tough kind of. It's off the cuff comment, but that kind of in itself is a hard comment, isn't it? That to take that the demand shouldn't be that.
Yeah, really. It shouldn't. But as well, I think a lot of people don't agree with kind of like the housing projects like mine, and I'll be open and honest. They don't believe supported housing, lads being in one building, is the right way to go. 21 blokes in there with addiction or mental health, it's a recipe for disaster. It's absolutely not at all. If you put the right things in place and the right structure in place, then it forges people an opportunity to carry out the journey, whatever it looks like, and come out the other end, like that lad did we just mentioned before. I don't think by picking a veteran up off the streets from the calibre of veterans that we deal with and just putting a roof over his head and there you go, getting that out, so that's absolutely doing him no favours at all, or her. There has to be the right support package wrapped around each individual person.
Fantastic.
So it's, just keep going.
So we're going to start wrapping things up. I'm going to leave with a quick fire question for either of you. If you had one piece of advice you'd give to a 14-year-old you, what would it be?
Take the chip off your shoulder. Listen to your elders. And if you're struggling in any way, shape or form, whatever that might be, whether that's with your mental health or at school or with friendships or relationships, go and speak to somebody, because there's always somebody who's got a answer or a solution for you.
That's a great piece of advice. Go on, Dave.
Yeah, and I think similar kind of to
You
myself.
can't cop out now. You can't just I echo what he says. That's not how this works.
No, I think anyone kind of around that age, has a very similar sort of thing here in that kind of resolution around the, the chip on the kind of shoulder. My thing was playing sport to the highest level I possibly kind of could at a very young sort of age. 30 or so, I was playing in under 21s.
Wow.
Around ice hockey. I think around 17-year-old, I was playing for the first team. And again, it was around kind of probably not believing your own hype and listening to others and some of the advice. Probably, I should have taken on board. It's really difficult, I think, at them sort of ages to listen to that. You want to be an adult. You're in this kind of adult world, and you want to be able to kind of prove yourself. But at the same time, you need to listen to others and the advice of people that are kind of more experienced.
Yeah, I think failure as well is a big thing, isn't it? Kids failing at something.
Is it the fear of? I think it's the fear of failure now, though, isn't it? I think we're in a society.
Nothing wrong with failing.
But I think we're in a society where everyone deems failure as like, oh, it's the last thing.
Yeah.
But when you look back, some of the most successful businessmen and people in society now, it's probably like 10, 15 businesses. Mm-hmm. Like, look at Richard Branson.
Yeah.
How many businesses he's gone through. Mm. But yeah.
Well, that's it. But fail stands. Well, I say this anyway.
Here we go.
It's
One piece for wisdom.
Learning. And if you learn by your failures, then you can only grow better. And if anyone ever tells you no, it's not a no, it's a next opportunity.
Nice.
And if you
nice.
take that through your life, then you can always grow and develop. That's a big one.
And you've just ended the podcast for me. So thanks very much. I actually have nothing else to say compared to that. So thank you very much for watching, listening. That's been Andy and Dave. So don't forget, if you enjoyed what you've listened to, subscribe, hit the listen again on Spotify or YouTube. Tune in, listen, and get vocal.